Na. Hey YouTube, welcome back to another exciting episode of Vin Plays Yahoo Fantasy Football. This is our Week 8 recap show where I go over how we did, how well we did, any insights or any of my thoughts from any of the games that I happened to watch over the weekend. And we'll look forward to the waiver wire and see which players that we'll look to pick up. Let's go ahead and jump into our matchups here. As you can see, we were defeated this week. Dude, this is a kind of a bitter defeat too, just because of how high our score is. We actually have the second highest score for the league for this week. So yeah, we just ran up against the buzzsaw here. The drafted just put up a ton of points, mainly because of Mr. Dalvin Cook here. Man, that's the most points that I've ever seen. Well, I think I've ever seen from a non-quarterback here with 47 fantasy points for this week. Well, it doesn't show it there because I already skipped over to this week's matchup. But yeah, 47.6 fantasy points, almost 50 points from a running back. And you know, Dalvin Cook really is that good. But, you know, he had a lot of help from the Packers defense because the Packers defense is just god-awful at stopping the run. Oh, my God, it was so painful to watch this game. The Packers' main weaknesses from last year have basically stuck out like a sore thumb during this game. Their run defense was awful, number one. The run defense was awful. On top of that, with Dalvin Cook being as good of a running back as he is, he ran up the score. During the first half, he scored 4 touchdowns during the first half. So it's incredibly crazy how bad their run defense is. But not only that, though, they really need, the Packers that is, they really need a secondary receiver. Right now, it is November 3rd. It is trade deadline day. It is also election day. So if you haven't voted yet, please do so. But yeah, they really need a second receiver. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, I'm actually hoping that the Packers do trade for Will Fuller because, especially during this game, there was like this string of 3 or 4 straight passes. Like Equanimous St. Brown, he dropped 2 like perfect passes from Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was looking to throw to the open man during this game. And he'd pass it to like Equanimous St. Brown, and I think one of the other tight ends like Sternberger, and it's like he'd drop these perfect passes to them, and they'd still drop the passes. You know, it's really frustrating to watch, and it just kind of highlights again just how seemingly short-sighted their draft was this year, drafting that quarterback and A.J. Dillon for their first 2 picks. But I don't know, I guess time will tell on that. But from this game anyways, you know, Aaron Rodgers did pretty well, 28 points. You know, as I said during our starter show, anything between 25 and 30 was what I was expecting. And I was expecting this as a floor. But actually watching the game, man, he really should have had more points here. He really should have had more touchdowns. If he had another receiver other than Davante Adams who was able to catch the dang ball, then Aaron Rodgers would have put a like more of a monster type game, 30 to 35 point game. As things go though, you know, this isn't that bad. This wasn't bad, and this definitely didn't lose us the week here. Actually, none of our players really lost us the week, really, looking down our list. Like maybe our defense. Our defense kind of underperformed, and Blankenship did underperform as well. But let's go ahead and go down the list here. Tom Brady, that game yesterday was surprisingly close. So Tom Brady did kind of underperform. I thought he was going to have a smash spot there. Going down on our side, Davante Adams, he did not disappoint. He had 2 touchdowns. He looked great. Anytime that Aaron Rodgers was throwing to him, he was wide open. Yeah, Davante Adams, he is the best wide receiver in the league right now, I dare say. I dare say that. Going over to the Stephon Diggs side there against New England, I believe that weather was a concern there, and I think this was the first week where weather was a real concern for multiple games. Weather was a concern during the Green Bay game as well. The wind was really high. I think they said somewhere around 25 miles an hour with 40-mile-an-hour gusts. So it didn't seem to affect Rodgers all too much because he was throwing dimes on Sunday. So it didn't seem to affect him too much. But with Stephon Diggs and with Josh Allen, especially the way Josh Allen has been playing lately, he's like I said before, he's kind of turned back into a pumpkin right now. It's like he had the whole Cinderella month, the month of September, but his last 3 or 4 games he's pretty much just reverted back down to last year's Josh Allen. So anyways, let's go down the list. Robert Woods also did not disappoint. What was surprising about this game, that is that Miami's defense just more or less mugged the Rams' offense. Jared Goff really does not handle pressure well. But, with Robert Woods, he's more or less a Swiss Army knife. He is Mr. Reliable here. So he did score twice. He scored with a rushing touchdown, and he did catch a short yardage touchdown as well. So Robert Woods more or less didn't disappoint. I love how he's used in this offense. He is kind of like a multi-purpose tool here. They use him in so many different ways. We will be starting Robert Woods pretty much every week that he plays for the most part. Let's go ahead and go back down the list. Josh Jacobs did have kind of a bounce back day. It wasn't quite as good as we might have hoped it could be, but he did score about 10 points. Let's go ahead and go back here. 12 points, but that was all on the ground there. He did not score a touchdown. So that's all, as all yardage is concerned, that's not bad. And for the most part, against most opponents, that'll be around his floor there. So there was nothing wrong with that. Looking over at our opponent's side, Todd Gurley, he did score a touchdown. And like I said before, if Todd Gurley scores a touchdown, then he's going to do pretty well. So he did score a touchdown, too bad for us. We did end up starting Gio Bernard, and he did score twice as well. You know what? He's a high-end handcuff as far as I'm concerned. He seems to be playing even better than Joe Mixon was playing. So, skipping ahead a little bit to our waiver wire period, I'm not sure that I'm going to drop him. The Cincinnati I almost said bagels. The Cincinnati Bengals are on bye this week for week 9, but I might just keep him just as a handcuff, just in case Joe Mixon goes down again. But we'll see. We'll take a glimpse at the waiver wire. Spoiler alert, the waiver wire doesn't look all that appealing to me this week, so we might actually just stand pat with what we have. Maybe just swap out our defense or maybe our kicker. I'm not exactly sure. But Blankenship has done well for most of this year, so I'll probably stick with him. And actually, I did have the Kansas City kicker Butker, but I ended up swapping him out for Blankenship. Not only because Blankenship has done well, but because Blankenship already has done his bye. So I thought, since Butker would have his bye with Kansas City on week 10, I'd have to drop him and try to find, some other kicker, maybe a lesser quality than Blankenship. So since Blankenship has been like a top 2, top 3 kicker for the year, I thought I might as well, even if it might be one rank lower, like maybe if I'm getting second rather than the first place kicker, I might as well just grab him now just because he already had his bye and I won't have to worry about him missing any time, save for an injury going forward. But going down our list, Darren Waller did disappoint here. We thought he would have a smash spot or a great game here, a monster game here, but this was one of the games that was affected by weather. The wind was super strong in Cleveland during this game, so as far as I could tell, all of the pass catchers from both sides really took a hit from the weather, and so did Darren Waller. But I'm trying to look here as far as targets are concerned. He still got the majority of the targets at 6 as far as receivers are concerned. And you know what? the Raiders, I should say. The Raiders really did do so much better than Cleveland. Cleveland only scored 6 points during this game, and they all looked awful, including Baker Mayfield, who just looked god-awful. But going on, Allen Robinson had a great game as well. He scored a touchdown despite Lattimore's coverage here. He did perfectly fine. Allen Robinson, he is, when I first traded for him, I thought, since his quarterback would be not great, because, I think the change just happened with Nick Foles. Well, did it just happen with Nick Foles? I think, actually, I think it was still with Mitch Trubisky at the time when I traded with him. And I thought his quarterback play would keep him down, would keep him within, the maybe top 20, top 15 range of wide receivers. But I think, we're making out with this deal right now because I really think he's falling within, the top 15, top 10 wide receivers right now. So, he performed really well against a bad matchup here. So, yeah, we will not be sitting Allen Robinson moving forward, and, he had a great week. Too bad that we ran up against the buzzsaw that is Dalvin Cook, and not only Dalvin Cook, but Miami's defense, just like I said, they straight up mugged. They manhandled the Rams. They ran it back for 2 touchdowns. They had a pick 6, and they had a kickoff return touchdown as well, which more or less destroyed us. This actually was probably the difference maker here with Miami, because if Miami had a typical night, if they put up like maybe 5 points, we would have had a chance here without that 20-point explosion, which really came out of nowhere. So yeah, that pretty much sums up our matchups for this week. And if we take a peek at the Yahoo score, we actually scored an A+. Because we scored so high, we had such a high score, second highest in the league for the week. We just ran up against liquid hot magma here in the drafted's team and Dalvin Cook and the Miami defense. Going over our bench, our bench didn't do all that well. There's no notable performances, that is, as far as our bench is concerned. Marquise Brown against Pittsburgh, he did score a touchdown, but that offense just looks kind of not great. Lamar Jackson, as far as I could tell from reports and from what I've read, he is not passing all that well. So we might have gotten the short end of that deal when we traded for Darren Waller. We traded Justin Jefferson instead of Marquise Brown because I thought Marquise Brown would be better. But actually, you know what? Justin Jefferson did not have a good game this week either. So, it's still probably pretty much a wash here. They're probably going to have their boom games and their bust games. But anyways, and Carson Wentz did stink it up on Sunday for a smash spot against Dallas too. This was pretty disappointing. I'll consider whether or not I want to keep him or try to make a speculative ad with maybe another quarterback. Right now, though, because I watched the Rams game, or at least some of the Rams game, and Tua didn't look all that great either. And not only that, but Tua has a really pretty tough schedule going forward. But as far as Carson Wentz is concerned, his schedule going forward is pretty good. See, once he gets back from his bye, he has New York, he has Cleveland, Seattle, Green Bay isn't all that great, and then it gets to New Orleans. So he does have a pretty good matchups here. And also on top of that, Aaron Rodgers has tough matchups on the 10th, 11th, and 12th as well. Let's go ahead and take a peek at Aaron Rodgers real quick. But yeah, his matchups on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. Well, it's like the 10th is good, but 11th, 12th, Indiana, that's a bad matchup. Then he has Chicago. And then on the 13th, he's actually playing Philadelphia, whose defense is pretty good. So there is that to consider going into the future. Let's go ahead and jump into our league here just to see where I've basically dropped to. Well, actually, I did not drop, I don't think, because I was in third place last week as well. So yeah, I pretty much stayed in place here. I did My points for did take a boost. I am actually now third place as far as total points scored, so that's good. It's always good to have that score high, because even if your record isn't that great, it does serve as that tiebreaker. So the higher I could get that, the better. And hopefully, we'll just put up some wins when we put up those kind of numbers in the future. But let's go ahead and look forward to the waiver wire. There's not too many people that really stick out to me. Mike Williams did have a good game, and he could be a good flyer moving forward. Let's go and look at more of the wide receivers here. But other than Mike Williams, there's Marvin Jones could be a guy that we pick up, because Kenny Golladay did get hurt, and he's expected to miss a game or two. And if he does miss a game or two, maybe Marvin Jones will be okay. But you know what? Golladay did miss a couple of weeks to start the season, and Marvin Jones was nowhere. He didn't do anything while Golladay was gone. But he did have a good game here, so it's something worth considering. I probably won't pick him up though. Another flyer would be like Henry Ruggs, but that'd be more or less just like Mike Williams. And I do like Herbert more than I do like Carr, so I'd lean more towards picking up Williams. Other than that, there's not really too many people that stick out as far as the wide receivers are concerned. Tim Patrick maybe, but I don't think I'm that desperate when it comes to my wide receivers. So let's go ahead and go back. Let's give a quick peek to the running backs here. Damian Harris, we could pick him back up. He did have a good game. And like we said before, I think when I first talked about him, anytime that New England could be in a competitive game, then he could put up numbers. See, he put up 16 points last game, and I believe that was all on the ground as well. But the New England Patriots could have a competitive game against New Jersey, because New Jersey, they really ought to win that game. New Jersey is by far the worst team in the league, so he could have a good game during Week 9 this week. Baltimore, that is not a good spot. Houston, maybe. Their defense is pretty bad, but their offense isn't awful. It's kind of a coin flip there whether or not they'd be competitive. But against Arizona, they'll probably be behind. The Clippers, maybe a coin flip. So, maybe just put on our bench. We could pick up, or we could make a bid for Damian Harris. Sorry about that. I lost internet connection for a bit. But going over the waiver wire again, there isn't too many sexy options as far as running backs are concerned. Let's go ahead and take a look at tight ends. Again, this is all kind of gross. And we still do have Darren Waller, so not looking to pick up any tight ends. Let's go ahead and take a peek at our defenses here. We can pick up Washington's defense against the Giants. Daniel Jones is a turnover machine, so that would be a good spot right there. Houston, it would actually be an interesting defense to pick up, because Houston is playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and from what I've read, they are benching Minshew for this coming week. So I think they said that he had a hand injury, but nobody really believes them. So Minshew will be benched, and he will be the starter in place of Minshew will be another rookie. So we'll see how that goes. Arizona would be another spot to start right here, because up against Miami, Tua did not look great during his debut. So probably some mistakes are going to be made there. Looking down the list, Chicago does have a good defense, but they're up against Tennessee, so that does not look great for them. And those will probably be the guys we're looking at. My defense right now actually is the Chargers, and I believe they are playing the Raiders, which is kind of a neutral matchup. We'll probably be dropping them for another team. Actually, what is their matchup after this week? They do have Miami and New Jersey after this week, though. Okay, maybe we'll hold on to them just to see just so we could use them for week 11 and 12. I don't know, we'll see. As far as droppable guys, though, I guess we could drop Wentz. I doubt anybody would be clamoring to pick him up this week, particularly after that really disappointing performance against Dallas. Deebo Samuel, we could drop him. He's not playing this week, but there's a chance that he could play the week after. So I'm not exactly sure if I want to drop him. Although, Jimmy Garoppolo is injured and he will not be playing this week. And he hasn't been right ever since he hurt his ankles. So there are speculations that he might be out multiple weeks going forward, or even the rest of the season, actually. If San Francisco deems this a lost season, they might just sit him for the rest of the season. Oh, and also on top of that, because George Kittle is going to be out for the next 8 weeks. I think he broke his foot. So as far as fantasy is concerned, his season is pretty much over. But even for real life purposes, if San Francisco is not in the playoff race, then there really is no point in bringing him back. So he might as well be done for the rest of the regular season too, if they have a losing record and they're not really playing for anything. So that pretty much wraps up this episode. Did you win your week? Did you fall victim to the liquid hot magma that is Dalvin Cook? I want to know. Go ahead and comment below and let me know all about that stuff. And thanks again so much for watching another episode of Vin Plays Yahoo Fantasy Football. And I'll see you next time.